senior housing, estate planning, finance, and health, and our Cooperative families can find the best resources in the midst of a life transition. We strive to make sure our seniors are informed and supported every step of the way. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brandon Lau.
And I'm Andrew Leon,
your host for the Kupunawiki Radio Show.
If you missed any of our shows on air, the Kupunawiki Radio Show is available as a podcast and can be found on both Spotify and Apple for your listening pleasure. Our title sponsor for today is Insurance Options by providing you with Medicare options that best fit your lifestyle. To contact them, call 808-386-3070.
And now we have our real estate tip of the week brought to you by Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors.
We often get asked if a financial gift from a friend or relative can be used as a down payment on buying a home. The answer is yes. In fact, one out of four first-time homebuyers uses a gift to make the down payment. Tax laws allow gifts up to $15,000 a year in 2020 without tax consequences to the giver or recipient. The amount is adjusted annually, so search irs.gov for gift tax for the current figure. You could get a gift from two parents or two friends for $30,000 without paying a gift tax.
For more strategies on how to buy your home, contact Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors at 753-9033. So again, today we are speaking about social services for Kupuna, and in studio we have the pleasure of having Wanda Anae-Onishi, Program Director, and Candace Young, Volunteer Coordinator for the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, better known as SHIP. Welcome, Wanda and Candace. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I'm sure you're very busy right now, especially we're in open enrollment for Medicare, and there's a lot of things that you folks do. But maybe you can share a little bit about what SHIP offers and provides to our community.
Sure. Hawaii SHIP provides free, unbiased, one-on-one counseling assistance to Medicare beneficiaries, their families, caregivers, and soon-to-be retirees. We offer free virtual presentations on Medicare topics, and we participate in exhibits and fairs for older adults and people under 65 with disabilities.
And Wanda, how long have you been the Program Director with SHIP?
Since December 2018.
Okay, so not too long.
Not too long.
How's it been?
It's been a wild ride because Medicare is ever-changing, it's very complicated, so that's why SHIPs are in existence. There's a SHIP in every state, and then the territories of District of Columbia, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. So we are just here just to help people with their Medicare questions.
Right. And it's a state-funded program, or
No.
is it federally funded for the states?
It's federally funded with from the Administration for Community Living.
Okay.
Our particular SHIP is under the administration of the Hawaii Department of Health through the Executive Office on Aging.
Wow. Now, before you were assuming this role as a program director, were you involved in Medicare and things like that?
Not at all.
No?
But I was a state employee.
Okay,
So
okay,
it
that
was-
was similar.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's what I bring to the table is that experience with just being a civil servant. But at this stage in my life, it's also good to get to know about Medicare, so when I do turn 65, I will be prepared.
So maybe 30 years from now, that'll be something you can look into.
You're so funny. Not that far away.
Well, you're right. I mean, Medicare is not the easiest thing to understand, especially if you've heard it, again and again, because there are changes. I mean, given what we have right now, what are some things that people are asking that you're having to help them with?
Well, now that it's open enrollment, which is from October 15th through December 7th, many of them are asking if their current plan is the one to stay with, or is there a cheaper option?
Okay.
So in open enrollment, they can switch from Medicare Advantage plan to another Medicare Advantage plan,
Okay.
or switch from original to MA plan, or an MA plan back to original. And they can add a prescription drug Part D.
So, I mean, you mentioned one decision factor being price, but
Yes.
it's not always price. A lot of times it's based on what the particular individual's needs are.
It's always based on their needs because Medicare isn't a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
And everybody are on different prescription drugs. They have different wants. Some Medicare Advantage plans offer fitness memberships, and so if that's where they're headed for, then that would be the best plan for them.
Right. Hopefully there'll be more fitness options out there as soon as this COVID thing gets resolved, right?
Very true.
But okay, and basically because a lot of people are communicating virtually and there's not a whole lot of in-person type of meetings, how have you folks been able to communicate with people who need assistance?
Most of our counseling assistance is done over the phone. So a person interested in our services would call our helpline or visit our website, and they would leave their name, their contact info, and a brief message on what kind of assistance they want. And sometimes it's a family member asking for their older relative. And we have a wonderful staff person who assigns all of these calls to our volunteer counselors. And they do the bulk of the work, the volunteer counselors. They contact the client and answer their questions.
Right.
A lot of them will do research first if they're not too sure, but they give them the best information that they know.
So your organization will give unbiased information.
True.
Right.
We don't sell health insurance. That's not our purpose.
Right. So you mentioned volunteers. I wasn't aware that there's if I could say, that big of a volunteer base within your organization. But how many volunteers roughly make up your workforce?
Over 100 plus
Wow.
volunteers. We also partner with the area agencies on aging in all of the counties, and they are SHIP trained, Medicare certified, and so they know the best options in their counties, and so those calls go to them. And then a bulk of the Medicare beneficiaries live on Oahu. So we have a big volunteer force.
Support here.
Support, yes.
What is that number that people can call to get in touch with a SHIP assistant?
It's 808-586-7299
Okay.
and toll-free 1-888-875-9229. We also have a website. It's hawaiiship.org. And that's where they'd leave their message, and then our staff person will assign the call. So it's not a call center where you would get immediate assistance,
Right.
but our staff person pairs the client with the counselor who best knows what the client needs.
That's interesting. So these counselors, I guess they have each their own sort of area of expertise that they've been familiarized with.
Yes,
And
because yes.
Yeah.
They come from, most of them are older adults, retired, so they bring their work experience. We have one who worked for the federal government. He'll get all of our federal government calls. We have a lot of former state employees, and we have a lot of calls from about the state retirement benefits plans. Yeah.
Wow. How would you say that SHIP's advice and your counseling service differs from other for-profit programs? I mean, what is your unbiased? But what are some other thoughts that you have on that?
Well, again, we don't sell plans,
Right.
so our mission is just to inform the beneficiary or their loved one on what's available. We don't guide them to make any decisions. The decision is purely theirs, but we just give them all of the options available
Right.
that are tailored to their needs. So when they make that decision on which way to go, it's with a lot of information.
Right. So if somebody was going to go to your website, what would they find there?
They would find how to contact us. We also have a resource page with the local area agencies on aging contact numbers because they provide a lot of services.
Right.
We also have the federal government resources, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. We also have our volunteer recruitment page, and it describes all of the roles available, because not every shipmate, we call them shipmate, our volunteers, not all of them want to be counselors,
Right.
but they want to be out in the community
You want to help.
answering simple questions about Medicare and just helping. They really want to get to know as much as possible and help in any way. We also have our virtual presentations.
Oh, okay.
So-
How could they receive one of those presentations?
They would, again, call our helpline or visit our website and put their request that way. And then Candace is the one who schedules the presentations.
Right. Oh, that's great. I'm looking at your website. Is there any link for, I guess, scheduled virtual seminars here, or no? They have to call in.
Yeah, we do it per their schedule. So they would say when what date they're looking for, and then Candace will check her schedule. She'll let them know what the topics are that's available and as far as presentations, and then she contacts our volunteers, and they're the ones who give the presentations.
That's great. Well, I definitely want to hear maybe more from Candace on some of the details and questions that Kupuna may be asking about, Medicare, and also some background about the volunteers, because I think it's great that you have such a large volunteer workforce helping out Kupuna. So we'll talk more about that right after this commercial break.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have Wanda and Candace with State Insurance Assistance Program Hawaii, or also known as SHIP. And in the first segment, we had Wanda just give us a little background of what SHIP is and what you folks offer. And now we want to turn it over to Candace. She's the volunteer coordinator with SHIP. And Candace, I was shocked to hear such a big volunteer base that you folks have. What are some of the backgrounds of these volunteers in this organization, and how did they kind of jump on board?
Yeah, so the backgrounds of our volunteers really vary. Like Wanda mentioned, the majority of our volunteers are retirees. We have some that are currently employed still. Some of the backgrounds, like Wanda mentioned, state workers, so UTF members, a lot of teachers. We have some physicians, some that work for the federal government, some veterans. It really varies. But the reason why they usually come to our program, majority, they were turning 65. They were looking online for programs and resources. They stumbled upon our website, and they wanted to spend their time assisting others while learning about Medicare for themselves. So that's the majority of the reason why.
I think what's also great is you guys are in every state, and I think that's great because as we are dealing with the growing population, the population is actually getting older, and so a lot of this, the majority of them are going to be getting into this field of needing Medicare, and so having you folks available across the nation is a great thing. But I wanted to find out from you. Obviously Medicare is always changing. Every year is different, right? And so which is why you folks have the open enrollment. What are some new things that are happening for this open enrollment in effect for next year?
There has been some updates from CMS. So a few changes, the senior savings model, I'm not sure if you heard about that, but CMS gave an option for the Medicare Advantage plans. This is under the Trump administration. His new issue was about insulin and providing a cheaper insulin option for individuals. So they asked the Medicare Advantages plans to reassess their prescription coverage of insulin, and they had to either opt in or opt out if they were going to offer the senior savings model. Most of the Medicare Advantages, except for HMSA and Kaiser, opted out not to participate because their benefits were at the same level or better. But basically, the senior savings model is a flat, I believe it was $25 for covered insulin under their plans compared to the various costs that it could have been before. So that's one of the new changes. And another one, a really huge one, people with ESRD and stage renal disease. Prior to 2021, they were not allowed to join Medicare Advantage plans. On the application for the plan, it asked specifically if you have ESRD, and if you clicked yes, then you wouldn't be able to join. But now all of the Medicare Advantage plans are mandated to allow them to join. So it's a huge change for people with ESRD.
And when people come and see you folks or call you folks, what are some of the most common questions that they have, or what are some of those concerns that they have with these Medicare changes?
Most common questions, like Wanda mentioned, you're turning 65. What do I need to do? Can I delay enrollment? Maybe they need help picking a plan for them. Sometimes they want plan comparisons. It really does vary, but the majority of people who are aging in and they don't know where to start or what to do.
And I think what's great, what I liked about you folks when Wanda had mentioned is you guys are unbiased, and you guys are not selling the product, so you're really it's really what's in the best interest of the recipient, right? And you mentioned your volunteers have all different backgrounds, so you folks are tailoring the coordinator or the volunteer with that specific person that may have been in the same field, so they have that background knowledge.
Yeah, so that's really unique about our services. So Stella, who is the admin person that does divvy up the calls, she physically one by one listens to the calls that are left on the helpline. She logs them down, and depending on the type of message, she appropriately assigns it to the counselor. And all the counselors are different levels of knowledge. We have counselors who've been with us for 10 plus years. We have counselors who just came on board, and so she appropriately assigns the calls so that the client gets the best help that they can get.
I want to ask, what about being in Hawaii, we're a melting pot, right? So there's a lot of we're very diverse, and there's different languages being spoken. How do you folks help? Do you have like other speakers or volunteers that may speak different languages that can help?
We did create our foreign language brochures, and I believe it was 15 different languages we have it available. Nine languages, and I think we're going to expand it. I think we did like an assessment on what was the most common languages spoken, and then we made them, but we are looking at expanding, and because of those foreign language brochures, we've been getting a lot of calls with foreign language speaking individuals. So what's good about our services is the Executive Office on Aging, we have the ability to hire interpreters.
Okay.
So we have assisted and used interpretative services. We've even helped a person who was deaf, so we had a sign language interpreter come down to our office and do that as well.
Wow.
So all of the counselors have access to that service.
Great. But now, because of COVID, you folks are doing things virtually. But maybe prior to COVID, or maybe even after COVID, are you folks going to be taking people in person meetings? And where are you folks located?
Yeah, so we will need to assess reintegration plan on how we're going to ensure our volunteer safety. But we do see in-person appointments in the near future with precautions. Our office is 250 South Hotel Street, Suite 406. It's right across the state capitol. It's in the Hawaii State Art Museum building, used to be Hemeter. So it is a little confusing. Our office, it's on the 4th floor. Some people get confused with D-bed, that's on the other side. But if you take the elevators on your left-hand side, it should take you right up to our office.
Candace, do you also provide assistance for people requiring the Medicaid?
We do. We do assess in our pre-screening, since we are federally funded, we do ask questions to the beneficiary to capture those numbers. And there is asset and income questions, and we kind of like to pre-screen to see if people could qualify for Medicaid, Medicare Savings Program, and our extra help. So we do that pre-screening process. We have applications available. We can direct them to the appropriate website links if they want to do it online. And we've even gone as far as helping them fill out the applications if they need help. But we don't determine eligibility. We can't kind of process your application, see where it's at. There's limitations to what we can do with Medicaid, but we do provide assistance.
That's great. Now, do you see any challenges that Medicare faces coming up? I mean, we are in an election season, and by the time this show is aired, we may have a new administration. So what are some things that you folks prepare for when these bigger changes happen?
Well, we just try our best.
Try your best to keep up.
Right. Because we do get notifications on the regular from CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, as well as ACL. So we get it right from the source, and we try to inform our volunteers by doing trainings, prepare them as best as we can for potential calls that we would receive.
Right.
But there is a possibility of huge changes with Medicare and its coverages coming up.
Right. But as far as what's known now, I mean, it wouldn't affect anybody in 2021. Most likely it'd take effect in 2022, right? Because the enrollment is for the following year. So whatever they have on the table right now, I guess people can pretty much expect to get that. Right. How do you folks see things going for your organization moving forward? Do you see folks growing, adding new services, partnering with other organizations? What do you foresee in the future?
We really want to expand the program, get the word out about our services, expand our volunteer base as well. We keep growing with our new PSAs that are airing on Spectrum and Raycom with the coaches, get more partners involved. And right now we're contracting with a website developer to maintain our website, add different portals, more resources, videos for people to see and hear about and learn about our services.
What we really need, as I was scrolling through your website, which by the way is actually very user-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the website is hawaiiship.org, right? But it'd be pretty neat if there's a matrix that would just kind of be a pull down and say, okay, this is my situation, what I need, and it'll...
The hypothetical
Yeah, I
situation.
think that would be... I mean, that's probably the advice you give verbally
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing consultations, but that would be really neat. How's about with your volunteers? I mean, is there always ongoing training for your volunteers?
Our training process is very lengthy.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of time and dedication, but we try to make it in a palatable format as much as possible. Training usually takes around a couple months to really be trained on Medicare and your role.
Right.
But it's really worth it. The caliber of our volunteers is very impressive. Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming goals that perhaps our listeners want to help contribute to, either to be a volunteer or to help your organization out somehow?
Yeah, we really need volunteers on the Big Island, especially
Okay.
in Kauai and Maui as well.
Okay.
We're always looking for volunteers because people do always call. So if anybody's interested, they can reach us again on our helpline
Okay.
or website.
And what is that number for your helpline?
808-586-7299. That's the helpline. The toll-free number is 1-888-875-9229, or again on our website, www.hawaiiship.org.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Wanda Anae-Onishi, Program Director, and also Candace Young, Volunteer Coordinator of the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, better known as SHIP. So thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we have our Kupunawiki Classic Trivia. And now we have our Kupunawiki Classic Trivia, brought to you by Cheney Brooks Choice Advisors.
This garden was built in 1855, noted as Hawaii's oldest garden, and has earned national recognition for its prehistoric glen. The glen contains some of the oldest plant forms on Earth. Some of these plants are from the dinosaur age. What is the name of the garden?
For a chance to win a long gift card, be the first person to call us with the correct answer at 808-792-5188. And we hope you're staying safe during this time. And remember, if you want to tune in to hear previous episodes of the Kupunawiki radio show, you can go to our website at kupunawiki.com, where you'll find links to those previous episodes and background information about all of our great service providers. You can even call us at 808-792-5188.
Again, we'd like to thank this segment's sponsor, Insurance Options Hawaii, providing you with Medicare options that best fit your lifestyle. To contact them, call 808-386-3070.
Well, thanks for joining us today on the Kupunawiki Radio Show, Hawaii's senior resource. We strive to make sure our seniors are informed and supported every step of the way. Again, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Andrew.
I will see you back next time on the Kupunawiki Radio Show.